This is the Roger Orozco Show.
All right, guys, welcome to the show. The Star Ashton is with his grandma. We got our local election this Tuesday. It's going to be big. I want to talk about it. Any last-minute people that are going to vote that might not know or undecided, maybe this would help them if they watch the video. One of the things we're going to talk about first is the mayor race. We support Irma Nunes 100%. We got two groups, Mr. Robertson's group and Mr. Franco's group. We want some new blood. We're tired of the same old shit. But one of the things that I want to put up is there's flyers that have been coming in the mail about Mr. Robertson. And one of them talks about the police union. Well, let me read it. So this flyer that I have in my hands right now says, here it is right here. And this one reads, for Scott Robertson, politics trump tragedy. Stand with SELMA'S police officers and vote no on Scott Robertson. And underneath that title, the top part, it says, Scott Robertson took advantage of the grieving father of a fallen Selma PD officer, Gonzalo Carrasco Jr., to help his failing campaign. Shady Scott Robertson was so desperate to win re-election, he printed signs that alleged he was supported by Gonzalo Carrasco Sr. in the hopes of winning sympathy from the voters. Okay, so that's what that says. I think the police union has endorsed Mr. Franco, and that's a big deal. I think Mr. Franco is very quiet. The police union actually gives him a leg up. That's a really big deal, I think. Mr. Robertson, in my opinion, decided that since the police union didn't support him, I think it's fire too. I could be wrong. I may be wrong, but I think it's the fire union also. I'll have to check that, but I believe so. But anyway, since the union didn't support Mr. Robertson, it seems that he went to talk to Mr. Carrasco's father and wanted him to endorse him. So it looks like he was trying to outdo the actual union support for Mr. Franco, which is shady. It shows you what kind of shows you a little bit of his character. Who does that kind of stuff? So Mr. Robertson, that was a very bad move. The police union seems to be up in arms, but they were already not supporting him. So I think, I don't know if he was upset and tried to outdo it by getting seniors' support. But they're mad. So this flyer is a big deal. Then it comes out and says, one of the other things is police officers association. I think this could be the president of the union. I'm not sure, but it says I'm going to read this. This is in quotes. This is blatant disrespect of Gonzalo Carrasco Jr.'s memory. The family ultimately wants privacy, but Mayor Scott Robertson stepped all over that. Christian Gazar, Selma Police Officers Association. So the police union is not endorsing Mr. Robertson and is upset with him. I think the biggest question would be, why is the union not endorsing the mayor? I wonder what the issue is there. There's an issue there, of course. What is it? Well, if they know what I know about him, that's probably why. So we'll go ahead and go into another one. And this one is, this is a good one too. It's another flyer with Mayor Robertson on it. And it says, Scott Robertson said it best. Then it has, it quotes him. I believe in complete transparency in the use of taxpayer money. And then it has some stuff, some other stuff about it. But I like to jump in right there and say that's a ridiculous statement by him. Complete transparency. There was a contract with the ex-city manager, Mr. Gray, and that contract was not allowed to go out to the public. I asked for it a few times. Other people were asking for it, from what I understand. It took us many years to get that contract. That is not transparency. That was a contract that was hidden from the people or not given to the people, in my opinion. And just in that, I mean, how many contracts do they have like that? We don't know. But just that they did that one time and he was part of it should disqualify him from being mayor. That's my opinion. The transparency. Who hides contracts? Now they could say, hey, it was allowed. Maybe it was on the advice of the attorney. I don't know. But he was part of it and he knew it was a hidden contract from us, the people. That should disqualify Mr. Robertson. There's a lot of stuff in here. There's a funny one. It says, say no to shady Scott Robertson. Oh, man. And I'll read this one, too. Scott Robertson's hostile behavior cost SELMA taxpayers $565,000 in legal settlements. Scott Robertson's harassment of 3 city employees, 2 city managers, and a city police chief led to lengthy investigations, finding Robertson engaged in wrongdoing and cost taxpayers more than $500,000 in legal settlements to avoid costlier lawsuits. And then there's a quote here, or there's a part taken from I don't know if it's a newspaper or an online paper or what, but it's called The Sun, and it says SELMA mayor's allegations aimed at city manager are about to cost taxpayers a pretty penny, and here's why. And then in the bottom of that, Action News, Channel 30, it says ABC 30 investigation, SELMA pays police chief $125 in settlement. So anyway, say no to shady Scott Robertson. That's what these flyers are. I think the big deal here is the police union is not supporting the mayor, and that's a really big deal. But also, what Mr. Robertson has done to counter that a little bit also, this is from a father that's paying attention, he has challenged Mr. Franco to a few debates, and I saw one online, but Mr. Franco hasn't accepted a debate. The election's in a few days. He's not going to do it. And I understand why Mr. Franco hasn't done it in the past. I talked to him about it, but now with Mr. Robertson coming under fire, and then he reaches out to want to debate Mr. Franco, it makes Mr. Franco look a little bit weak, like he might be scared. He should debate him. I would bring this up. It would be fun to just see them kind of go back and forth. I think that's a really big deal that Mr. Franco doesn't do it this time around. That has allowed Mr. Robertson to counter this whole police union thing, because I think Mr. Franco's going to not have as much support in that aspect. And also the other aspect is he's been supporting, it looks like he's with or helping or tied in. Well, we know he's tied in with Mr. SAHOTA on the school board, and they were, it looked like they were in support of or supporting Mrs. Dorte. There was a meeting that was on the down low where they had 3 board members, Mr. Fedor, Ms. Kessler, Mr. SAHOTA, at this meeting promoting or talking about or supporting Mrs. Dorte, who is the opponent of Mrs. ALANIS, who's done a fabulous job listening to the people, bringing agenda items for the people. And while the other is rubber stamp, and Mr. SAHOTA is a rubber stamper now, has become one. And what they have done is very nasty to a sitting board member, Mrs. ALANIS. She deserves to be there. She's awesome. Mr. SAHOTA deserves to be fired. So he's on the ballot. The only thing that could save him is the ignorance of the people not knowing his record and what he's done. He's done a horrible job with the money, totally horrible. Deserves to be fired. I sat on that board, and I would say it was always kids first, if you know me, and it didn't matter who liked it or not. And I would say that I would never support Mr. SAHOTA right now. What he's done is going to affect our children in the future and our schools in the future. A lot of bad decisions there. So I hope he is fired I hope Mrs. Torres steps in. I know I went off track a little bit, but I guess I was trying to relate that to Mr. Franco. If Mr. Franco is supporting Mr. SAHOTA, then he doesn't deserve to be mayor. What Mr. SAHOTA has done is outrageous on that school board. And for Mr. Franco to tie himself into that, and especially against a sitting board member that's done a fantastic job for the people, shows that he's not in touch with our number one topic, our number one deal, which is our children. So that's where Mrs. Nunes comes in, third party. She's independent, which people should like. And anyway, it's time for new blood. And I hope Mrs. Nunes watch your video that we did, the interview we did on the podcast. It's really good. So hopefully she can pull it out. You know, it's going to be hard. Mr. Robertson is already kind of established, but this town is divided, and we'll see what happens with that race. The other one, like I said, Mr. SAHOTA deserves to be fired. Mrs. Avalos on the health board, a person who supported using health board money, taxpayer money, to buy a dishwasher for dog bowls, washer and dryer for dog towels. I mean, that's nice, but that's not what a health board money's for. They even paid for a floor for some kind of at a building. The owner didn't want to pay for a floor for some kind of dance class. They came to the health board. Obviously, they can't say no. They're like the majority of the school board. They just can't say no. They just give all the money away. But they use health board money to help fix a floor or repair the floor or replace it. Who knows what they did, but they spent a lot of money on that. So Mrs. Avalos deserves to be fired. It's actually insulting what she's done on there. Who's the other race? Mrs. Navarro deserves to be there. Mr. Avalos is I mean, if you watch the city council meetings, man, this guy is bad. He doesn't deserve to be there. He's campaigning with Mr. Robertson. I mean, Mr. Whatever, man. Please vote for Navarro. And the last but not least, there's a guy named Oseguera. He's running against Mrs. Camacho, I think. I'm not sure. She might have pulled out on that. But Mr. Oseguera, it's another Jim Avalos. It's obvious to see. It's pretty disgusting to me. This guy, I'll leave it at that. So anyway, those are the races that are going on. So, you know, hopefully Miss Nunes can pull it out. I'm actually hoping Miss Torres pulls it out. Nick deserves to be fired. The only way he's going to stay on is the ignorance of the people, nobody knowing what he's done, and especially with the money, man. The money's a big deal. After the taxpayers tax themselves with Measure L to help the schools, they gave out 7 and 1. They gave out 8%, and then they went back, or they didn't go back, but then they went forward and gave another, what I call a backdoor raise of somewhere between 1% and 9%, depending on your step and column and your years of service there. So some people actually got another 9%. There was a bonus paid out after the taxpayers helped them. Then they cry about not having any money, and they signed a 3-year deal worth another 9% plus. Then, of course, management comes for Me Too. We want that too. Just horrendous what they've done. All the money they could have given and done something for our kids, you know, our own law enforcement on campus or something. So much you could have done for our kids, and they gave all that money away because they were weak. And Mr. SAHOTA's weak. There's 4 of them on there that are just totally weak. To be honest, they just suck. They suck. As a parent that pays attention, they suck. So the only thing that might save Mr. SAHOTA is the ignorance of the people. So anyway, guys, please like, subscribe. This was the last video. I really didn't even have time. Had so much going on, but I wanted to jump on here. I had to talk about these flyers in the mail, and Mr. Robertson. You know, why doesn't the police union, or most of them, police officers, like this says right here, stand with SELMA'S police officers and vote no on Scott Robertson? That's a big deal, Mr. Mayor, that the police officers of SELMA do not support you. Very big deal. Let's vote them out. Let's get Nunes in. All right, guys, thanks for watching.